This live-action sequel to a live-action prequel of an old-ass hand-drawn cartoon exists. Also, I watched and wrote Sins for the first Angelina Maleficent movie, and I'll be honest, I had no clue what happened in that movie. So this should be interesting. 30 seconds of Disney logo! If Maleficent is powerful enough to know when the forest is being invaded, shouldn't she also be powerful enough to know that there are 3 of them here? This escape is a lie, and convenient. This escape is live-venient. They clearly had boats on the way over, and I'm fairly certain they were planning on using them to cross back. Considering pulling yourself across on a boat is much faster than trying to fight the current and almost drowning, I'm guessing the choice to swim was made for dramatic reasons, and not logical ones. Not only did this young lad not have any time to nick this flower petal or show any indication of having it until now, you're telling me it stayed in this precarious position throughout that entire swim across the river? Movie starts with flying through the air while the titles are shown cliché.
Once upon a time,
narration!
For some reason, the Mistress of Evil and Protector of the Moors was still hated after all this time.
Could it be because she's still going by Mistress of Evil? I'm no branding expert, but maybe drop that title if you're jonesing for some admiration. Take it from someone who included sins in their name and is now universally beloved.
Maleficent became the villain once more.
Because sequel. Wait, is this a Maleficent movie or a Flintstones episode? Are we suggesting fairies use frogs as alarm clocks and bonk them on the noggin to stop them? Are pixies dicks? Because I think the pixies are dicks. Dick pics?
She's not Sleeping Beauty anymore. I see what you did there.
We all see what you did there. You can literally see what you did there from freaking space. The list of things you can see from the moon is now 2. The Great Wall of China and what you did there. Stealing a crown is a bad idea, even if you are adorable.
I'm not in the mood for this.
Thing I said before I started this film gets said by one of the characters less than 10 minutes in. The new Sonic the Hedgehog design seems to be working out just fine. When does Jim Carrey show up? Man, Huey, Dewey, and Louie are slower than I remember them being.
I've loved you since the moment I met you.
Skip!
Oh, he's on his knee.
Well, he took his sweet time about it.
I wish Alvin, Simon, and Theodore would shut the up and stop injecting themselves into the story. Sudden green bean people.
Mistress, I have a little bit of news.
Geez, tattle much? That's not your surprise to be in here crowing about. It's not like she's in danger, and you seem to like the family. So why not let Aurora share this potentially awkward news?
Oh, I know, she said yes. What human wouldn't want to leave that place?
Suggesting the prince only got a yes to his proposal because the bride was desperate.
Your Majesty, it's cocked.
But why is it cocked? Why would they set it out that way for the display?
King and Queen are celebrating tonight, and they have invited both of us to...
Wait, we saw the crow person give Maleficent the news about the engagement, and she took off flying in anger, presumably to go confront the girl. Then Philip went home, and it seemed like a bit of a ride, honestly, and his mother decided to have a feast and invite Maleficent. Then, nothing happened between then, and Mally showing up here to confront her daughter, and Aurora somehow already knows about the celebration and the invite? Does she have her own crow person messenger, and we just haven't met him yet? The does she know about this dinner?
Your mother will learn to love who you love.
Eavesdropping. I see the queen has a bat cave. It's one thing to have a hidden room to keep stuff in, but it's completely another to have an entire hidden workforce melting steel in a giant foundry under the castle. The heat and noise alone would ruin the secret, not alone the fact that all these people have to enter and exit somewhere other than the secret entrance. If you're gonna have a secret weapons factory, inside the castle is probably the worst place to put it. Also, discount Saruman. She barely agreed to even go to the dinner. Why is she practicing how to talk and behave properly when she doesn't give a
For your horns. I just thought it might make Philip's family feel more comfortable.
Horn shaming. Also, I think it's interesting she suggests covering up the horns, but not the necklace made from the skulls of dozens of dead birds. They don't have a carriage. How close are these two warring kingdoms? Is this like a Gotham Metropolis situation from Batman v Superman? Holy mother of God, look at these candles. This is candle death. No question about it. The chandelier candles will be dripping hot wax on the guests and the table before the appetizers are done. Why do you need these chandeliers of death and mayhem? Aren't the 11,000 candles on all the floor-standing lamp thingies providing enough light?
Have you ever considered turning me into a bat? I think I'd make quite an impressive one.
Bear shadowing.
Your Majesty's ladies and gentlemen, dinner is served.
Why is the castle crier a 10-year-old kid? This is basically Look Who's Coming to Dinner, but with an evil witch. Also, I fail to see how the centerpieces of unpeeled red onions and artichokes help anyone. Just takes up room. Who says we're having company tonight? Remember to put out 9 or 10 unpeeled red onions in a bowl in the middle of the table. Why? Because that's what you do!
Innocent men are being slaughtered on the moors.
Wait, on the moors? Are the moors people or hills? Or islands? Or Hill Island people?
What has she done to me?
Your wife just jabbed you with a spindle and you used your last breath to play the pronoun game instead of pulling your arm away, turning and saying, "What have you done to me? Cinema!"
It's a curse.
It's a curse!
Imagine if the movie hadn't shown the queen looking at the spinning wheel and sneering evilly. This could play straight. We'd never suspect her at all. But because they felt compelled to foreshadow, now we know the queen poisoned the king and is faking all this blaming Maleficent stuff. Sometimes movies put scenes out of order and it reduces the potential enjoyment of the film. And this is one of those times. This is actually a pretty powerful scene separating Maleficent and Aurora. But why is Maleficent remaining silent here and making herself appear guilty when she's not? That is some crack shooting for the dead of night when your target is all black in color. What I mean is, that shot is impossible.
You wanted peace. Now rest in peace forever.
There is no upside to her saying all this out loud, and all the downside if someone hears her. But the movie needs us to know how evil she is, so logic be damned.
What if she never comes back? I could be stuck as a human forever.
But with Maleficent out of commission, shouldn't you be stuck in your default bird setting? Especially considering you were a bird when she was shot. Or does magic reset to whatever works best so the character can be understood by the audience and advance the plot? Can you read my mind? It looks like they've invented bullets, but are also still using crossbows, which negates the purpose and power of a bullet. But what do I know? No one gave me $50 million to make a lazy sequel. Dun dun dun! Maleficent is part of a species and has ancestors. It's like that show on PBS my wife watches, only with horns.
There are too many humans!
This guy is right.
You reek of human.
This movie is turning out way more Battlefield Earth than I think it intended. How to Train Your Maleficent 3, The Hidden World.
As more human kingdoms emerged, we went into hiding from every corner of the earth.
And we found this giant underground complex with all the different environments we needed to survive. Lucky, huh? Are they flying through memories? Because if so, how are the memories noticing and watching them back? Or did they portal jump to reality where more winged things live and are just flying overhead instead of stopping to say hi? I get that there's a convenient updraft here, but I'm not buying the physics of them just floating here without much effort. You can fey what you want to fey, but I don't think there's enough wind beneath their wings. Detective Porky Chew!
All are welcome. And all are expected.
Did you hear that? We're invited to the castle.
Of course, the pixie chicks here take this mass message personally, because we can't do Sleeping Beauty without Bibbidi Bobbidi and Boo, can we? Also, this suggests the Moors are a place, and are just next door to this kingdom, if a low-rent megaphone like this actually reaches their ears. It'd be nice if someone would have laid out the geography a bit more, but maybe they did that in the first movie and I have entirely forgotten. That sounds like something I would do.
You are the last of her descendants. Her blood is your own. You are her.
How does Chiwetel Ejiofor even know all this stuff? Whatever the case, it's a good thing he does. Otherwise, we'd all be super confused right now.
I have no daughter.
Jeez, Mal, overreact much? You loved her deeply, and then she showed compassion for the king, and her confusion is enough for you to disown her? Drama Mama loves her some drama mama.
When you mix the pollen with iron powder, the resulting dust ends a fairy's life.
It's amazing how every character in this movie already knows the exact information they need to know to move the plot along perfectly. And by amazing, I mean full of The movie tries to make us nervous that Spit and Lick Me, or Lick My Split, or whatever his name is going to pick one of our cute creatures to sacrifice here. But it's so obvious he's picking the Dandelion Fairy here that it might as well be wearing a tiny red shirt. Movie has time for this? Seriously, I haven't seen a more pointless dance party since Neo discovered the Zion rave. See? She can sense a toon bloom being picked from miles away, but somehow she didn't know one got plucked 30 feet from her at the beginning of the movie? It's amazing how powers turn on and off as the movie requires. God damn, that's a lot of dead fairies. Deus Ex Machina. Good thing Maleficent conjured this Groot bubble for protection. Oh, and that none of the bullets found their way through these giant gaps.
Everyone, stay together.
Glad that Ed, and Edith are still here to give directions to all the mushrooms and pea people and tree beards.
Toon bloom. Where'd you get this?
From my mother.
In a movie full of plot-driven convenience, this tops the list. Why would his mother give him one of these flowers knowing that it is evidence against her? And they need as much of the fairy pollen as they can get. What purpose does her doing this even serve at all? Also, giving your bride a flower called Toon Bloom on the morning of your wedding. Aurora accidentally angry walks herself right into the evil queen's underground war factory. Like, she goes walking, she's angry, suddenly there's a room full of mannequins, and one looks off, so she touches it and turns its head, and I swear the actors' actions are so nakedly manufactured that they might as well be carrying their scripts around with them in the scenes.
Where should we sit, Fiddle?
Marsha, Jan, and Cindy are driving me crazy being in this movie so much. And this needle has proximity-based mind transfer powers of how it's been used nefariously, because of course it does.
They belong on the moors.
As you do, Aurora.
Oh look, the Queen has also shown up here at exactly the most convenient time without explanation. I can barely contain my shock at this development.
When I was young.
The evil queen will now not only do a villain exposits their evil plan in great detail cliche, but will take a full 2 minutes doing it. And now I'm certain this movie has Guinness judges on hand to verify it's setting the record for most paint-by-number film of all time.
We will rise together.
We fight together.
Man, how do they know who is going to jump in and say the next something inspirational? Did they rehearse this? This is the first time they've gone to war with the humans, right? Man, I think Michelle Pfeiffer might be the evilest Lannister yet.
Start the music.
I want to know what love is. What, wrong song? You decide to wipe out the entirety of the Moor folk, and this is how you do it? With an overly complicated, wildly inaccurate organ delivery system? Just hang that from the ceiling and drop it all at once instead of trying to shoot frantic fairy fish in a Baroque belfry barrel. Also, genocide. And the conveniences just keep conveniencing. The length of the rope, the bed stopping at the exact right moment, the inertia somehow shifting forward, it just happens to be her beloved's room, and he just happens to not only be there, but be in the exact position to catch her in a loving embrace. No, we've seen that this powder turns the fairies into a natural representation of themselves, like a flower or a tree. So why is it disintegrating the fae?
Look!
Considering the mark is this prominent, this accessible, and not even covered, shouldn't someone have seen this by now? Man, this is Game of Thrones Battle of Blackwater, only with flying things instead of ships and red powder instead of green wildfire. Otherwise, basically the same thing. Also, I'm calling bullshit on all these weapons. He told the queen like a couple nights ago that they needed more tomb bloom flowers, but also that the process of extracting the essence was
painstaking.
So then they went and stole all the tomb blooms and broke Maleficent's heart, and then, what, all these weapons ready a day later? It should be painfully obvious what's going on here, and there seems to be plenty of room by the door where the organ launcher can't reach. It's been almost 10 full minutes since this started. Why is everyone still just hanging out in the line of fire? This works. Or he survives this. Take your pick. He survives this working? Of course, the three amigos are going to help save the day. You didn't see that coming? Well, that's dark, unless it gets undone later, like it definitely will. Blah blah sacrifice, blah blah love conquers all. Look, if she had time to grab Aurora and turn them both completely around before that arrow hit, she absolutely had time to grab Aurora and fly her out of the way. Boy, Hollywood is really on a kick about killing characters by turning them into dust.
Maleficent is dead!
Except we all know she's coming back. Not just because the whole Phoenix shadowing thing, but because there is no way Disney doesn't milk this series for at least 5 more movies just so they can release a box set and call it the Maleficent 7. Oh, magic tears, right. How did I forget that every Disney movie ends with either magic tears or true love's kiss? I remember when the first Maleficent came out, everyone complained that she didn't turn into a dragon, so those people are all probably super happy right now, you think? Worshipping dragons. Well, that seems like something that could have been done the first time, no? And so begins the portion of the film where the Fae embrace the ironclad humans, totally forgetting that the very touch of the iron should be burning them. I think someone was faking their metal allergy for attention.
Today there will be a wedding!
No time to mourn the many friends and family that have been brutally murdered on both sides. Get over it. The day is growing short and Philip and I want to get it on. Nothing like multiple war casualties to get us worked up for some intense gland-to-gland combat.
Will you walk me down the aisle?
Who else would do it? I thought this was a given. You're gonna let Mini Jar Jar do it? Or that not Sonic Porcupine little bastard?
Apologies to anyone on Modern Wall today.
Hilarious war murder is hilarious.
She can change her back.
Only if we wanted to.
So, has anyone caught the king up on what's going on? He seems pretty chill for just having awakened to his kingdom in flames and a large group of dark fae in his courtyard and a goat wife. Not even announce a confusion about any of this? As she walks her daughter down the aisle, I have to wonder, why did they subtitle this movie Mistress of Evil? She does basically nothing evil all movie. The only fighting she does at the end was after the definitely evil queen started a war, but Maleficent herself is a pretty okay dude in this movie. Brooms and shrooms here are admittedly adorable, but add exactly zero importance to the plot or themes of the film. Every second we spend on them was frivolous nothingness. And now their adorable little sidekick faces just remind me that this movie had no right to be 2 hours long.
Pink! Green! Pink!
So the iron dust didn't kill them? Just trapped them in a flower body? Is that better? Is the sacrifice still meaningful? Stop pretend killing your characters, Disney. It's getting old.
You may kiss the bride.
Now on to the bedding ceremony. This movie ends on about 50 full seconds of her flying. End! Just end!
Finger has a heartbeat.
This is what the humans do. They're nothing but locusts that swarm the earth.
Human beings are a disease, a cancer of this planet. You are a plague.
Fear does not exist in this dojo, does it? No, Sensei! Hey, does not exist in this dojo, does it? No, Sensei!
Yes. Yes. Stand up, kiss me.
Hold it, hold it. Is this a kissing book?
What's next? You'll turn him into a goat.
I got better.
Before we begin, since this is Aunt Bethany's 80th Christmas, I think she should lead us in the saying of grace.
I'm sure it's very grim after King's Landing. I remember how scared I was when Ned brought me up here for the first time.
I hear we might share a grandchild someday.
I hear the same.
Then where is her head?
Well, he's not as dead as we would have hoped.
Who are you?
I'm Batman.